Welcome to GLOBEWATCH with me, Charles Ebune. One of the most thriving and successful global industries today is the tourism industry, which provides employment to at least 277 million people worldwide annually, while the banking sector and other economic activities across the world have seen a downward movement, especially after the 2008 global economic turmoil. The tourism industry has witnessed an expansion which contributes at least 10% of the global economic growth. Why is the sector so successful and other areas of the global economic chain in a difficult position? Well, my guest today on GLOBEWATCH is the most authorized and authoritative voice in the tourism industry. He was the Jordanian Minister of Communications, International Development and Infrastructure. TALEB RUFAI, welcome to GLOBEWATCH.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here, Charles.
Back in 2014, the global tourism industry had a turnover of $7.6 trillion with some $2.3 trillion directly injected into the global economic chain, with some 1.3 billion travelers. What was the case in 2015?
There was a growth of 4.8%, close to 5%. And this year, 2016, the first 9 months are showing similar growth of 4%. So the industry continues to grow, and it will continue to grow until the year 2030, our forecast, and beyond.
Explain to me why the global tourism industry is having an avalanche in terms of job creation, in terms of global economic growth, when most of the sectors are in a difficult position.
Look, travel and tourism is not anymore an economic sector only. It's a way of life. It has become a cultural aspect of our life that's indispensable. It's like asking people don't eat or sleep or have medical care or don't get education. You're asking people not to travel. People are going to continue to travel. It has become a human right. And there are economic factors that have encouraging this. The rise of the middle class, the low cost of traveling, especially air traveling, has all encouraged this. So tourism is beyond being an economic sector into a way of life. Travel. Travel is a right of people. As you said, 1.2, 1.3 billion international travelers. That means 1.2 billion people crossing borders in 1 year. That's 1 out of 7 of the people of the world making an international trip outside of their country every year. So it is not anymore like it was 50, 60, 100 years ago, a trip from a British gentleman or a German aristocrat that goes to India, to China, or to Africa, exotic countries, and comes back and writes a book. It's a people's movement at all levels, at all sectors, across all economic stratas.
Out of that number you just mentioned of 1.3 billion people traveling each year, as the statistics indicate, the largest of that number comes from the transatlantic traveling space, Western Europe and the United States of America, where you have travelers totaling some 575 million travelers each year. That is to be followed by Asia. Why is the European and American traveling space so lucrative, and Africa and other parts of the world we don't have such impressive figures?
Let's distinguish between two things, the outbound market and the inbound market. The outbound market is not anymore the monopoly of Europe and North America, not anymore. Just look at the figures you've just mentioned, 506 something million. That's less than 600 million, which is almost 50%, less than 50% of world travelers. If you look at 10 to 20 years ago, this percentage would have been 60 or 65% of market share. So yes, until today, because historically travel started from Europe and into Europe, they maintained a bigger market share. But with time, this market share is diminishing, and it's in favor of Asia, it's in favor of East and South. Today, for example, China is sending 150 million international travelers every year. That's not only number one, it's by far number one, superseding Germany, that for the last 100 years was number one until 5-6 years ago. So the center of gravity is shifting east and is shifting south, but it still remains a European domain in terms of market share. 52 to 55% of the people of the world travel from Europe or into Europe.
You just talk about China, which is the largest international tourism expenditure in the world, followed by the United States of America, Germany, and the most lucrative city in the world when it comes to traveling and tourism expenditure is London, with some $19 billion spent last year, for example. Why is London so unique? And do you think after Brexit, such a momentum can be sustained?
Well, let's separate the two elements of your question into one another. Look, Charles, China is the largest spending power in the world. It spent last year, 2015, about 300 billion, to be precise, 292 billion US dollars per year. That means the average expenditure per Chinese, if we have 150 million and they spend 300 billion, that means every Chinese traveler spends per trip close to $2,000 per trip. Well, the average international expenditure per trip across the board is less than $1,000. So a Chinese traveler spends more than twice. Where do they spend it and how do they spend it is a good question. They spend it in Asia around them, and they spend it in Europe. When they come to Europe, they spend it mainly in shopping and other leisure expenses. The point is that the Chinese traveler spends his money, his neighbor's money, his friend's money, and his relative's money. They spend a lot on shopping, especially from Europe. Paris, London, Rome, and other capitals of Europe are very, very attractive destinations for Chinese visitors. Now, it's not just London. It's all the grand capitals of Europe. But how long would this be sustained is another story. Now, that's one element. The second element is about Britain and Brexit. Britain and Brexit is still too soon to make any judgments on. So far, the only effect of Brexit on the travel and tourism industry was the drop in the value of the sterling. Drop in the value of the sterling means that UK became more competitive and more attractive for visitors to the UK, but it did make some obstacles in front of British people traveling abroad, which is a very important source market. So it's very soon to make any judgment on this, but unless Britain makes a real effort to maintain its travel facilitation and its borders rather flexible and its visa regime more open than what it is now, Britain may end up losing on the long term.
You just talk about Britain there, but you know, since the 2008 global economic turmoil, the job market has been a very picky one, in which we have seen job cuts in major multinationals across the world. JP Morgan, Chase, Lehman Brothers, Freddie Mae, Volkswagen just announced the slashing of plus 300,000 jobs in the days ahead. I just wonder why the tourism industry is succeeding in sustaining some 277 million jobs worldwide. Any bad days?
1 out of 11 jobs all over the world are supplied by the travel and tourism industry.
Fantastic.
The travel and tourism industry is providing more jobs because it's simply growing more. We have just started our conversation by saying how there's exceptional growth of this industry. So with growth, you grow the job market.
That is a GDP contribution of over 3.5% to the global economy. We have to look sector by sector.
Yes, but direct and indirect contribution is almost 10%. And that's the point. The tourism industry creates jobs not in its own core sector per se, it also creates jobs across and down the value chain. We have done some research with the ILO, the International Labour Organization, on the quality of the jobs in travel and tourism industry. And we found out that every job in the tourism industry creates an additional 1.4 jobs in other sectors. So let's say you build a hotel. The hotel employs 100 people. You're actually creating 240 jobs.
Mr. Director General, you just talked of value chain job creation. What are the key sectors involved in this tourism industry? When we talk of entertainment, when we talk of recreational activities, when we talk of hotels, what
Look,
enters
Charles,
in that box?
Look, Charles, let's go back to the example of the hotel. Let's say the hotel employs 100 people. I'm saying that you created 240 jobs. Where are they from? They're from the people that provide food to the hotel, taxi drivers that become more accelerated in their work because there's another stop station there, lawyers, accountants, maintenance people, laundry people. Anything that services this hospitality industry flourishes. Even shopping. I mean, tourism is such a horizontal sector. I can't even start to mention and name the sectors that would grow as a result of the growth and travel of tourism industry. We're based in Spain, in Madrid. I tell you, the last time I met the Prime Minister of Spain, when shaking my hand, he said it was tourism.
Mariano Rajoy.
Yes. He said it was tourism that saved our economy. And it's true. Not only because tourism just grew, it helped and it lifted other sectors with it. Because they have to support. Agriculture will be boosted because you have to increase your food intake. Transportation will be boosted because people have to travel. Services will be boosted. Banks will be more activated. Everything moves if people move. It's a movement of people.
Well, you're just talking about the movement of people. The first tourism destination in the world last year was France, with over 84 million visitors, followed by the United States of America with some 77 million visitors.
Correct.
And last year, Morocco became the first tourism destination in Africa with some 10 million visitors. And let me hang on Africa. Why is Morocco such a success story in the tourism industry, and countries like Cameroon, Kenya, and others are lingering behind?
Look, it's never what you have, it's what you do with what you have that matters.
What does that mean?
That means there is a political will in Morocco and in Egypt, although Egypt is passing through a troubled time now, or Turkey, or many of the successful tourism destinations. There's a belief, there's a culture that respects and honors and gives due importance to tourism. That has not yet been the case in many African destinations, unfortunately. That's what really matters. You know, Morocco is saying to the rest of the world, come to Morocco, welcome to Morocco. Everywhere you go, you see something about Morocco. You see an image, you see promotion, you see social media, you see something that tells you Morocco is a place to visit. You don't see that in many other.
You just mentioned one issue, social media. Just how much of a value is Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, eBay, Zaobao, which is mostly used in China, in the promotion of the global tourism industry today?
Tremendous value, Charles. Tremendous. Today's world is different in the way it makes and breaks businesses. The business model between the consumer and the business provider, the service provider, has changed. A consumer today can be either an ambassador to your business or a whistleblower. And that's all done through social media. Now, social media can make a momentum and can create an image and can change things around, or they could make your business collapse. So social media is tremendous. It's changed completely the way we do business in the world of travel and tourism.
How much are countries that are restricting social media penetration in their country losing in terms of the tourism industry? Just how much are they losing?
Well, I must tell you something. Generally speaking, countries that restrict social media are not interested in tourism and do not have a good tourism industry. Because the tourism industry is based on openness, is based on liberal thinking, is based on people coming and going out of the country. So any country that would think of restricting social media cannot be thinking in the right direction.
Probably not thinking the right direction. You know, our world today is plagued by a series of challenges. We had attacks in France, which of course shrank the tourism industry. What to you is the greatest menace to the global tourism industry today?
We have identified in UNWTO, together with our members, 3 main challenges that the travel and tourism industry is facing today. One, the most immediate, the most direct one, is safety and security. 2 is technology, and as we were saying now, the changes in the business models and the need for us to adapt. It's not just the social media, it's also what we call the sharing economy or the collaborative economy. And 3 is the issue of sustainability, which is a very, very serious challenge. Now, the first of these challenges, as you correctly so said, are the safety and security measures. But this is not something that we should take the way we're taking it now. We should never panic in front of these challenges. You know, security today is a global issue.
Why shouldn't people panic when you want to visit the Bardo Museum in Tunisia? You are attacked by terrorists. Why shouldn't people panic when you are in Bataclan in France? You are not in a good shape. Why should people not panic when they are in Orlando, when they are in Maiduguri, Nigeria, in Kolofata, and they can't visit the normal areas where they used to visit?
You want me to go on the list? The list can be anywhere around the world. Can you name me any particular place that you say that 100% you can guarantee nothing is going to happen there? The whole world is opened up now. No place is immune. It's a global challenge. But because it's a global challenge, we must face it together. And the way we face it together is not to panic, because that's exactly what these attackers, what these forces of darkness want us to do. They want us to stop traveling. Why do they attack? What is being attacked now? Think about it. What's being attacked? What's being targeted by terrorists? Airports, museums, hotels, beaches, restaurants, gathering places. They know that's where it hurts. They know it hurts economically. They know it hurts socially. They know it hurts politically, because it would damage the image of the country. So that's precisely why we should continue to travel. Actually, when a place is attacked, it's the safest place the day after. I don't think that all these travel advisories make any sense to me. And all of these warnings about not traveling to places should be revisited in a much more intelligent and much more logical way.
This interview will be coming to a close very soon. Let me ask you about one key element before we separate. You know, there is a new administration in the United States of America, and this is the most dominant nation in the world today, whether we like it or not. The Trump administration, yet to come into office, promised during the campaign season that all the trade deals, NAFTA, TTIP, Asia Pacific Partnership, you know, when I come to office, I am going to do this. I am going to tear them off and destroy them because they are not good. If those trade deals are destroyed, how much of the global tourism industry will be destroyed?
Well, that's much more serious than destroying these deals. Building of walls, closure of borders, restricting people's movement is what would be the most serious damage to the economy of the United States and the world around it. But I'll tell you something. Nobody that's on the wrong side of history will ever succeed. And no action that's on the wrong side of history will ever be sustained. No matter what people would do, no matter what any administration would like to put in place, people are going to continue to travel. And you mark my words.
You are in Cameroon, what they normally call the whole of Africa, or Africa in miniature. What brings you here at this particular time of the year?
Well, I'm here in the right time, in the right place. I'm here in the heart of Africa, in the soul of Africa, not just the country that's all over. Are you sure? Yes, I am. Yes, very much so. Very much so. I said this in public today, and I'm saying it again and again.
Okay.
You represent everything that Africa is all about: the diversity, the beauty, the strength, even the topography, the mountains, the hills, the forests, the deserts. Everything is here in one place. Why am I here? I'm here because I think that this place deserves much more than what it has. There are some untapped potentials that need to be tapped. And that's what I'm here to send the message to. That's why I met with every high-level public official that you could ever think of here. But I'm also here because this country is being threatened
Including Mr. Bia's Chief of Staff.
Everybody.
What they call here the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic.
That's correct. I just came from there half an hour ago. But more importantly, I'm here because this country is under threat from those forces of darkness, the Boko Haram and the likes. And it's important to send exactly the same messages that I was sending here. To send a message to the people of Cameroon to say, you're not alone, we're with you. It's not a problem of Cameroon. It's everybody's, it's my problem. It's everybody's problem. It's a global challenge. And to send a message to the rest of the world that you should be helping and supporting Cameroon and you should come to Cameroon. That's why I'm here.
Probably the last question before we separate. You know, you have huge global administration experience. You were the Jordanian Minister of Communication, you were a Minister for International Cooperation, you were a Minister for Architecture and whatsoever back.
You've done your homework correctly.
In your country, and you were one time Deputy Secretary General or Director General of the International Labour Organization. How much of your experience are you injecting in to innovate the tourism industry? You are in your last mandate.
All of that. All of that. I'm giving it all my best. Because tourism collects and galvanizes all of that. Believe me. Tourism brings the best out of everybody. And you're correct. Tourism came late into my life, like a wonderful lady that comes late into your life. But I am in love with tourism now. When it touches you, you can't escape it. So all of what you're talking about is helping me to think in a different way, to put all of this together, whether it's economically, whether it's politically, whether it's socially. Any aspect of life that touches tourism is being affected by my collective experience that you mentioned. And I'm proud of that.
You are the Mr. Tourism of the world. There is no doubt about that. And this is the final question. Which or what is your best tourism destination in the world?
You know, that's like asking me which of your children is your most favorite. They're all beautiful, believe me. I'm not being diplomatic here. There's a beauty, there is an excitement, there is an authenticity.
Can you tell me your best tourism destination in the world?
No.
Why?
Because it all depends.
You don't want to talk about your country,
No. Oh, Jordan is my country. That's a different story.
People will abuse you of being...
No. If that's what you mean, of course Jordan is. No. But really, it's not the first. It's who you're with and what you want. And it's the time of your life that you want to experience something. I can't say this is better destination than other destination. Jordan, of course. Petra is the jewel of this world. I would like to spend the rest of my life, what's remaining of it, in Petra.
Are you sure if I switch off the microphones, you provide me the same answer you are giving
Absolutely.
me now? You will not give me a specific tourism destination you like?
Absolutely. I love each and every one of them. That's why I'm the Secretary General.
The Secretary General of the World Tourism Organization, TALEB, RUFAI, thank you
very so much,
for being
it's
guest
been
on
great.
GLOBEWATch.
It's been a
Assalamu
pleasure.
alaikum.
Thank you. Alaikum salam. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Why is it that the current socialist government has difficulties of wooing the French electorate that brought it to power to say, see, look, you brought us to power. These are the right decisions we are taking for you. But on the contrary, it is from one protest to another, or from one protest to a backlash or a withdrawal of legislation. Take the constitutional reform bill, for example.
France is a country, and we all know that, and everybody knows that, where pushing reforms is difficult. Now, the question is whether you push reforms through the left or whether you push reform through the right. Those who are not happy with reform from the left will be even more unhappy from reform from the right. And that's the open question. We have presidential elections a year from now, quite exactly, and the option then will be either you reform center-left like, or you reform center-right like.
You just said that you have elections in less than a year from now, which is true. Will you be running as candidate? Most people know you as Mr. Solution of Europe. You worked with the founding fathers of the current European leadership scheme, people like Jacques Delors, who currently you are honorary president of his foundation. Is Pascal Lamy having intentions as a socialist of dropping its candidate for next year's presidential election?
No, the answer to that is no. Since I left my job at the WTO, I've openly been saying that I'm not in for a government job. I'm too old. I've got many other things to do, and I think France is a place where youngsters, younger politicians, women and men, should step in. Our political system is too old. Most of the ministers which now have big positions were already there 20, 25, even 30 years ago. This is abnormal. We need to modernize. We need to have young people coming in much more than what we've done. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not in for a government job or position.